Hi, this is Rosalie Kareem. I want to talk today about rupture and repair and how it's different for someone with developmental trauma than for someone who didn't have developmental trauma. So I'll define rupture and repair, and I'll define developmental trauma, and then I'll talk about this. Rupture and repair is a phrase that's used often in talking about the relationship between a client and therapist, or between a child and parent or caregiver. And the idea is that there has been a safe relationship created, and then something happens, and that safety or trust is damaged. Maybe the baby cries and the mother doesn't come and is gone for a long time, and the baby's really upset and scared and doesn't know what happened. And then if the mother can be sensitive to the baby's hurt and fear and can be reassuring and comforting and acknowledge that she was missing and apologize and just hold space in a really good way, then not only is the original safety returned to, but there may be even a deeper level of safety that I know that if something happens, it's going to get better again. That I know that it's possible to have distress and loss of connection, and then to build that connection again. And similarly, in the relationship between a therapist and a client, if a therapist does something that causes the client to feel not safe or not heard, and then if the therapist is able to really show up and hear and see the client and recognize and acknowledge what happened and really be present in a good way, in a nurturing way, then again the relationship goes back to the level of safety that was there, and maybe even a deeper level of safety. And rupture and repair is also something that's talked about in relationships, in marriages and partnerships, that we have some level of trust and then it's damaged. One of us does something that really causes the other person to feel hurt or abandoned. And so if I do something that causes my partner to feel hurt, and then if I'm able to show up and really see and hear them, and not try to explain myself and not try to make the whole thing go away or minimize it, but just really be present with what their experience was, then it may be possible to go back to the level of trust that was there and maybe even make it deeper. So that's the concept of rupture and repair. Now, and what is developmental trauma? Developmental trauma means that as an infant or young child, or even pre-birth, that the person experienced a significant lack of safety, to the extent that they didn't lay down the patterns of being able to really know in this life that they are loved and safe and their needs will be met. Someone with a significant developmental trauma pattern experiences that they can't trust people, and that they don't get what they need, and that things don't work, and that there are dangers all around. It's a really pretty fundamental difference of experience between someone with significant developmental trauma and someone who had a safe and welcoming landing into this life. So I want to talk about rupture and repair in relationships with developmental trauma people like me, and maybe like you if you're listening to this, if you're watching this video. So this is so if someone is not a developmental trauma person, if someone is like, they landed in this life and they were embraced by their parents, and the parents weren't perfect, but they were able to see and hear the child, and the child felt honored and respected to a reasonable degree, and like the world wants me and I matter and I can be me, right? If someone is coming in with that kind of experience, and then they get to be an adult and they have a fight with their partner, that person's fundamental value in their life and in the world is not at stake in that fight. So when they're going to their partner and wanting to make things better, they're really going to want to make things better. Let's get things back to the really beautiful way that they were before. And what do I need to acknowledge? And what do you need to say to me? And what can we do? Right? The beautiful, trusting relationship that they had is clearly in the picture. Right? I'm coming to you because I want to get back to how beautiful things were. That would be sort of a natural understanding in trying to repair some breach that happened when the person has a solid foundation in his life. Those of us with developmental trauma, I never hit record. Yes, I did. Haha. Those with developmental trauma are prone to all kinds of mistakes and brain misfires like that one. Okay. The timer thing is going. I am recording. I'm talking to you about rupture and repair and those of us with these crazy nervous systems. So, when I have this significant developmental trauma pattern, here's what's happening for me in my life. Things are not okay. I know things are not okay. I can feel that things are not okay. I always feel that things are not okay. I am looking around in my life, inside myself, in my home, in my relationships, in the world, trying to figure out what's not okay, what's not safe, and what do I need to do to fix it. That's what's going on in us. It sucks. It's not great, but that's what we learn, right? I'm not welcome. My needs aren't met. There are risks. What am I going to do to alleviate the risks, to reduce the risk to me getting hurt? So if I have a fight with my partner and I want to make it better, the vision of this wonderful relationship is not necessarily what my body is resonating with as I approach my partner. What's at least as likely, maybe a lot more likely, is either I feel hurt and I want to not feel hurt anymore, or I'm pretty sure you feel hurt, and when you feel hurt, you behave in ways that are kind of scary to me, so I want to get to things to where you don't feel hurt so you won't be scary. Right? So it's like, okay, something's wrong and we need to fix it. And we tend to kind of look toward the thing that's wrong. Well, you did this and I did this, and you did this and I did this, and here's why I did this. And yeah, but here's what you're right. We're like trying to review the transactions to try to look at okay, what happened and how can I fix this? Because these things happened and then I felt bad or I felt unsafe and I want to fix that, right? So our focus is on the something that I'm very sure is wrong because something unpleasant happened. So my suggestion is that as people with developmental trauma, as people with dysregulated nervous systems, that we invite ourselves to learn. I'm inviting you to look at the repair of relationship from a different perspective. And instead of asking what went wrong, how can we fix what's wrong and what's broken, instead of asking that we're asking ourselves, what do I want in this relationship with my partner? What am I looking for? What is my heart crying out for? And looking back at our relationship, how close have we come to that? What are the pieces that we've had along the way that have been at least similar to what I'm looking for? And then my question isn't so much about how do we go back and fix this thing. It's about, given that we both have these wounds and fears and all this stuff going on, how can we get from here closer to this place of what we want, what I want. I want to feel safe. I want to feel connected. I want to feel hopeful. I want tenderness and quiet and laughter. I want all that stuff. And I know we both felt hurt. So how can I get from here to closer to what I really want? And one way of, one step toward that is by simply saying, okay, so we did this and this, and I understand that you felt hurt, and it was never my intention for you to feel hurt. I really want you to feel safe. And I guess I want to hear from you that you didn't want me to feel hurt. And, I'm not sure how we do this, but can we both agree that we both want each other to feel safe and we both want to feel connected? And can we find the seed of that sense, that connection, the seed of that sweetness somehow? And depending on exactly where we are in our understanding and our work and our fear and our triggers, I'm not saying this will be smooth or easy. This isn't like a step-by-step how-to. It's just a suggestion of a shift in perspective, that when there's something that feels broken, that instead of really focusing on the specific thing that seems to be broken, to be really aware of, what is it that I want? How do I want it to be? And what I'm saying again, like I said earlier, is that for a lot of people who had a really solid landing in this life, like, these words don't even need to be said. It's a given. Of course, right? We've loved each other. We've been great. We want to get back to being great. That feeling great, that's such a wonderful thing. That reference point is already there for those people, both in terms of their relationship, but also just in terms of themselves, right? I matter, and I matter to people, and I matter to the world, and I want to get back to where I can really feel solidly that I matter to my partner and that we're connected. That makes sense, right? That's easy. I know what that feels like. I'm just trying to get there. And for us, the developmental trauma people, we don't know what it feels like. We don't know how to get there. We've never really totally been there, right? Like, our relationships at their very best were never completely safe, because I've never felt completely safe ever in my life. So it's tricky. It is so tricky trying to work on relationships when we both have so much hurt and when we don't have this solid foundation. And I think I'm just going to stop, here. Let this be a stopping place. Just be aware of where you want to get to, and just, I guess, I'm inviting kind of softness and gentleness, like the shift in the direction of softness and gentleness, forgiveness and compassion, especially for me, especially for yourself. Big compassion and grace for me, and then big compassion and grace for my partner, and then curiosity and patience and acceptance, and just as big a heart as we can create. And again, this isn't easy. It's not simple, because we do feel hurt, and I do things that my partner feels hurt, and they do things and I feel hurt, and the things might not even be really anything, but we're so oversensitive and we can't help it. So it's like forgiveness, compassion, patience, curiosity. Maybe find someone to work with if you don't already have someone. Find a third party, someone who's really good at holding a space of curiosity and compassion for you and with you, either as individuals or as a couple. So this is the end for now. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you all success and blessing and joy in your work, and I just honor you for the courage and perseverance at being a human with a particularly challenged life and nervous system, and at just doing it anyway and opening your heart again. So thank you so much. Happy spring, and I will see you soon.